Welcome to KHM Today, your weekly resource for industry news and straight up fun. I'm your host, Carolyn Orf, and it is June 15th, 2022, and we are live from the couch at the Gaylord of the Rockies, where we have just finished the Travel Leaders Network EDGE Conference for this year. It was absolutely incredible. My voice is scratchy from all the talking and the screaming and the yelling. And we are here today with some incredible agents and some of our KHM team to share with you what our experience has been like. And we also have a great interview with Jim Tedesco, Vice President of Sales with Apple Leisure Group. And of course, Matt's back from his travels in Alaska to share with us his thoughts on being a Distinctive Voyage host. So we've got a great show for you today. And so let's get started. You guys, we're here with Carolyn Sekerek and Anita Pagliasso from Travel Leaders, from KHM. You guys, it has been a fantastic week. Very little sleep though. And so I wanted to get your thoughts, Anita, on just the mindset of the room. I really felt like the energy was incredible. It was almost vibrating in there from both the suppliers and the agents. Did you get that same feeling?
Absolutely. It was just from beginning to end. There's just, I think part of it is like, I've always said, a big family reunion, because we're all in this industry together. We're all here to learn. And it was just so inspiring. And I guess I want to say right off the bat, because I can't hold it any longer, congratulations to everybody over there at KHM. I was proud and very honored to be your representative, to get up on stage and collect that award from the Travel Leaders Network Chairman's 2022 Host Award. And the room was lit up. We had agents all over just yelling and cheering us on. And it was just, it was quite an honor. And it's all because of each one of you out there. So thank you from all of us. It was really amazing opportunity.
It was fantastic. And I think watching everyone in the room collaborate, one of the takeaways that I had, you guys tell me if you felt the same way, was everyone was really owning the issues that they were having. There was a lot of positive energy in the room, a lot of incredible things that were announced and things to look forward to when it comes to travel. But I think what was really appreciated was the fact that everyone got up there and said, we know hold times are long. We know that flight cancellations are a problem. We know this, we know that. And this is the plan we have put in place to fix some of these things. And, you guys have heard me say it before. If you're having trouble, own your mistakes, own your weaknesses, and let's figure out a plan to move forward. And every single supplier, I felt like, really just owned the issue and said, here's what we're doing to move forward. And as a travel advisor myself, that just makes me feel a lot more confident moving forward.
So true. And many of them also said they're hiring. So this really is going to be a great comeback. Positions that had to be furloughed or let go, they're looking for people. There was a big message of, if you know talent in the industry, share with others and help these people get hired and get back on their feet after the pandemic.
And I think a lot of it is rehiring, retraining is what they're going through as well. Maybe they've had some employees that were furloughed, come back, and they're retraining them because things have changed. They've made they've implemented a lot of changes during that time, the shutdown. So it was, and I think the networking, not only with the suppliers, but also within the agents. It was just amazing to see, what are you doing? How are you building your business back up? What challenges are you having? And so that was a great opportunity for everybody to get there and really have those one-on-one conversations.
So one of the fun things that I thought was really interesting this year is all the suppliers kind of went out of their way to be creative and interesting. And it was almost like Super Bowl commercials, like who can do, what's coming next and which one. Like, I feel like we should have voted at the end of the conference, like which one was the most inspiring and which one was the most fun. But we had, Jim Tedesco got up there in his bathrobe and a sleep mask. And, it was about taking the edge off and relaxing a little bit. And Well, Dondra stole the show from Celebrity Cruise Lines when her dog comes out there, and she was just really emotional about being part of a family and working together. We heard from MSC with some race cars, and we had some bowling, and I mean, everyone was really kind of outside of their box to the point where, you sit in these sessions and you're trying to relate and be comfortable with everything, and then they bring this, you can't help but pay attention. So did you guys experience that as well? Mylene there in the back, was this your first EDGE conference? Second EDGE conference.
Yeah.
Okay, so why did you come and what was your big takeaway?
I came to see all the other agents because I love networking, but my biggest takeaway was learning how to use Google and in conjunction with Agent Profiler to up your networking on the digital space. I thought it was fabulous.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Toni, what was your big takeaway? What was your favorite thing that you learned?
I came to some of the business courses. Mike Marcheb, if you've done Travel Institute, he's also a speaker on there as well. And his biggest message to me, I think, was just being able to come back to the simple things. Things have been so complicated in travel for so long, and we probably get spun up and thinking we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, and Mike does a really great job of just reminding you, you know what, kindness and a thank you, just going back to the simple things and remembering that, we're dealing with people and everyone's been through the same thing. And so we all need to be looking forward together. And sometimes someone's going to need a little help, but maybe looking them in the eye, listening to them vent a little bit longer could be what makes them refer people to you, or just making that other connection. So that was something that was important to me.
Awesome. Toni, what sort of connections? I'm sorry, not Toni. Leigh. Leigh, I'm looking at Leigh, but I'm talking to Toni. Leigh, what sort of connections did you make this week?
Oh, I made lifelong friends. This is my first KHM. Like I was telling everybody, I feel like a family working with KHM.
Yeah.
People came from all over, and we're leaving as friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, Leigh.
Sorry,
Leigh.
guys,
Oh,
that's
I know.
We're leaving as friends. We're leaving as a family.
I love it. Well, and I have to tell you, like when agents ask what sort of events to go to, the first thing on top of my mind, of course, with KHM is come to our events, right? Come to ours, because this is where you're going to meet people and make those connections. And usually larger events like this are the last thing I'm recommending, because it's so big and sometimes people can come in and feel so overwhelmed. But I had a totally different perspective this week, and I feel the same way about KHM. We had 3 tables of agents all week that sat together for breakfast, for lunch, afterwards, going out together. And the 1,600 people in the room, for us, at least for me, became 30. And those were I love talking to other people in the sessions as well, but it was the 30 people that I was sitting with all week that made the room much smaller. And I really feel like I had a different perspective on the conference this time because I had that community. And I loved sitting and listening to what everyone had gone to and heard, and the sharing of ideas. So, if you'd asked me a year ago, would I recommend someone who is newer to come to something this large, I might have had a different answer. But after this week, I absolutely can say, do it. Not just because of the information, but those relationships. Pat, you were in my boot camp class February of 2020, right before the pandemic hit, and you are here.
Yes.
You've had the time of your life because I've watched you. And so what has your experience been like?
It's been great. Way too much information. So we take notes in every class. I also like Mike.
Yeah.
I was in business spaces with him. So the point I'm at right now is jump-starting my travel business. So I just made sure I focused on the tips that would help me do that.
Nuggets, so many good little nuggets
Lots
that really inspire.
And, you know, if you have a singular focus like I have, it keeps you from getting involved.
Nice.
Because I knew what I was looking for when I came.
And I think that's important. That's a really good point, is you knew what you were trying to get out of it.
Yes.
Amazing.
That's fantastic.
Well, and hanging with all these nice
I know, it was so
Hurt.
fun. Yeah, it was so fun. And last night getting all gussied up and, you know, all fancy. And so I hope you all have enjoyed the pictures that we've been posting. Ladies, thank you for taking the time. I know some of you are heading over to the pool. Others are heading to the airport. So again, you guys, we just had the most incredible time this week. I think we had 30 agents.
Maybe more.
Maybe more. I don't know. Last night they started to multiply as we were going to the gala. But we just really had a great time. Carrie, this was your first industry event, and you were sort of wearing multiple hats while you were here. So let's just start with, what did you think of the event? And I know the answer to this is, are you glad you came? That's a yes.
Yes, it's a definite yes. You know, I kind of knew what to expect because I've seen pictures and read the blog posts we've written about past events. You know, we've always sent team members. We sent a group of 5 team members this year. So Sherry and Linda were also here, our Southwest Regional Coordinator. They had to leave. So it's just us 3 left. But I feel like we were able to bond in a special way. These ladies have been to these events, so they helped me through, you know, make sure you get up for the general session. I felt like the general sessions and the workshops, or the general sessions, were like that moment when you've been on a cruise and you come back together with your dinner table and you experience like what you did all day, you know. So that was definitely, the power of connection really stood out to me.
Yeah.
I think that just tapping into some of the tools that TLN has that I didn't know about. There's great marketing resources. Just looking at how an agent would build an agent profile for the first time. It was great to kind of wear that new agent hat.
Yeah.
Some of the workshops I signed up for were more geared towards new. Some were more geared up to like the agency owner level. So I feel like I got a well-rounded idea of what this event can offer everyone. And there's really something for an agent at every level.
Mm-hmm. So you also at KHM wear the DE&I hat. And so were there things that struck you this week when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay. There were so many things. I have 2 pages of notes and I could probably go on and on, but first things first, Gaylord Rockies is a great hotel. You walk in, as we drove up, I saw the pride flag outside, and then at all of the check-in desks, they had the progress flag. So that right away was saying this is going to be a welcoming place for all of our agents, all of our conference attendees. The staff is from a bunch of different places. I have a special connection to Thailand. The girl who checked me in was from Thailand. More on that later.
Yeah.
But so I think that, you know, definitely as a place, it's just always great to see like people come together and just notice the great diversity that we have within our community of suppliers, community of agents. And a few that stood out to me were from the travel supplier presentation perspective. We had so many women in leadership roles. You know, this is a great time to be a woman in the travel industry. I love our male coworkers, and I think they have a great place in our industry as well. But we just heard from so many women, and not only, you know, women in sales leadership who are the national director of sales, and they're the one that their brand chooses to speak. And just what they talked about too was so great.
Inspiring.
Share some of the inspiration they shared, because it really touched our hearts.
It was a lot about evolving and finding your place and your mindset. I really feel like so many of them touched on the inner workings of being a human as opposed to product and how to increase your sales and things like that. And these were not workshops. These were part of the general session. And I think that really touched a lot of people, because it's something that we all struggled with during the pandemic. And it's sort of like, you don't want to flip that switch and stop caring about that. And so for them to continue to have that conversation about finding balance, and I wrote down in my pages of notes, it wasn't finding a balance. I'll have to look it up and come back to you guys. But there was a special term that someone used that I thought was really great, that better explained that work-life balance.
Yeah,
Wasn't there
I remember that
better
too. There was
representation
in the sales promotions that we saw on the screen.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
There was a lot
So
more
when
diversion.
When
a
I
lot
wore my
more
marketing
diversion.
hat,
Yeah.
video team, there
Yeah.
were so many videos at this event. It was like video after video, and they kept topping each other. But I always was keen to notice just the people that they were showing in the videos, diverse places we can go, but also the diverse people that make it happen. The, Holland America, when she spoke about gratitude, that was very impactful.
Attitude
Attitude of gratitude, which we thought could be our core value, but we shortened it to gratitude. So that resonated with a lot of us. Holland America gave away a free Alaska cruise if you're lucky enough to be able to go this summer, to everyone in attendance. So of course that was a
huge.
great moment. The Family Bonds Foundation.
Yes.
There was so much talk
80,000.
about. They raised $85,000. This foundation was started by TLN, and they give out 200 grants, or they've given over 200. And if you know an advisor in our network in need, they can apply for a grant through like July 15th, I think, is their next grant cycle. Hawaii tourism. I got up at 7 a.m. for that one. I think I was still on Eastern time. They talked about the over tourism and what they're really doing. Many travel advisors know now you have to make reservations to go to many of the state parks. Well, the reason they're doing that is because, when the land was able to rebound, it needs to regenerate. We tread on some really sacred land there in Hawaii and all over the world. Really, today's speaker from G Adventures talked about, just cultural heritage, preservation, and so many gave us many ideas of ways to see the world that actually gives back. And we really do need to protect the earth, and I think that's part of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it's about including the places and the people that we see along the way too.
Carrie, let's talk. I thought Saudi Arabia was really very interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so during the general session, there was a presentation from the Saudi Tourism Authority, and it was led by women, 2 women from Saudi Arabia, and they have entered the workforce. This is something new. Women have not been allowed to work in their country. Not been allowed to drive until 2018. So this country is going through an incredible transformation right now of women being able to walk out on the street alone without a male escort. And they have some of the world's most diverse UNESCO heritage sites to see, the desert. They talked about the music culture and how women were not allowed to go to sporting events or concerts. So they're bringing tourism is definitely making a comeback there, and it's just great to see the women being elevated, and that just really touched our hearts as women. That was one of
The beauty
best
of it, the
presentations.
beauty of that, that whole area too. It's just amazing.
Definitely. Oh, and then the women of Internova resource group. So Internova owns TLN, correct?
Right.
So they have a resource group for any woman that works at TLN. I think they have 4,000 employees. So they help each other, they mentor each other, they develop leadership skills, and they're going to be starting something for travel advisors that I know KHM's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee is going to want to get involved in, because that will give the chance for a home-based advisor or someone independent that's affiliated with TLN to tap into an employee resource group. Mm-hmm. And usually you hear about those groups at these big companies, where they when you're smaller like KHM, our whole company is a resource group for each other. But it'll be great to be able to maybe get involved in that and offer that to our female agents out there.
Yeah. I have to laugh. I see Vicki. You said I'm getting emotional.
Oh.
It absolutely was an emotional week to be with everyone and see things changing in travel for the better. It really was. It was an exceptional week. Exhausting but exceptional.
Yeah. So definitely, as I wear that KHM Cares hat, just the opportunity to give back when you travel. If everyone knows, I did a mission trip to Thailand, and during the trade show we had the opportunity to put our business card in, and maybe you'll win something, and I was chosen to win free airfare to Thailand.
That's first time
So-
luck.
Oh my god. And I even said when I put the card in, I never win anything, and I was just like, if I could win anything, could it be this? So
And
now
you
I got to
did.
figure out how and when I could
Congratulations.
actually go back. But there were there was a silent auction going on, and so you certainly don't want to like exploit a partnership with a charity, but it is a good way to get your name out there to show that you do care about the community around you. As I said, we have a world to protect, but we also have to protect each other, right? Especially, during this month, June, Pride Month. It's just great to know about destinations and resorts like this that will be friendly and welcoming. You may not have LGBTQ plus clients right now, but you might tomorrow.
Right.
So why not educate yourself? We can point you to the preferred suppliers who have good resources to serve all of our communities. But yeah, just a big win, I think, overall for diversity, equity, inclusion at this event.
Fantastic. Before we bring Matt on, I wanted to touch base. There was one thing that I thought was really cool was the in-destination partners. These are DMCs that are on the ground. And I think it was so cool to see. This is what some of us have been talking about for the last 2 years, is that more local feel, having that support person on the ground that's actually there to take care of our clients. So it was really neat to have a whole session and a whole space for them at this conference, because I think this is where we're moving.
I agree. Many of the suppliers talked about people don't just want to travel. They want to have that experience. They want to build that memory. And it's those local connections. I know when I was in Thailand, it was just great to stop by the side of the road place to order food and actually be able to talk to the people serving it to you and not go to some, restaurant or fast food chain there.
Yeah, it's true. Very cool. So you guys, while we were here, we had an opportunity to speak with Jim Tedesco, who's the Vice President of Sales for Apple Leisure Group Vacations. And we had, because it was during the conference, we were out, we tried to get a great view and everything. And so we did an interview with him. The sound on it is not fantastic, so we're not going to play it today for you during the show, but we are going to post it on our YouTube channel. So I do hope that you will go there and watch it. We talked a lot about some of the things that are coming up with ALG. We talked about some support that they have, and just an overall feel for the conference, new phone number, new email address, and just overall their feel about the conference as well. One last thing before we jump over to Matt is there was a comment made several times about clients, people wanting to book human. And, you stop and you're like, book human. But really what it is they want to work with you. And how do they work with you? And I sat in a session this morning about becoming that extraordinary agent and what that looks like. And it's being ethical. It's being, taking it one step further than the normal person when it comes to your clients. It's really listening to them, being there for them. And so, book human, that's kind of the phrase that we want to keep using. And if your client ever says, well, I can find it cheaper online, book human. I don't know, there's just a ring to it that I think is really fantastic. So, ladies, thank you so much. It has been such a fantastic week spending it with both of you, and the early mornings and the late nights. It's been so fun. And again, the networking. I mean, Anita, you're queen of it. I mean, you're so good at it. But really what you excel at even more is sharing that with the rest of us and introducing us to so many of those important partners in this industry. So thanks for taking us under your wing this week.
Welcome. Yeah, should we get out and get some sun?
I know.
Sunny Colorado, we've been inside all week.
I know, you
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Safe travels.
Congratulations again to all of you for that huge award last night.
Yeah,
it was
Congratulations
awesome.
And thank you.
Couldn't have done it without you.
Yes. Oh, Vicki, I love it. Customer centric equals book human. Fantastic. That's
Nice.
exactly
I like
it.
that.
So
Great.
I want to bring Matt to the show. He spent, I think it was last week, the week before, in Alaska doing both a cruise tour and a cruise with Princess as a Distinctive Voyages host. This is a program through Travel Leaders Network. So, Matt, why don't you join me? Hi.
Hi, Carolyn.
It's so good to see you back. See, you're home and I'm not. Well, I'm almost home. I'm only 45 minutes from my home.
I'm home for the next few days.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, first, the opportunity to be a Distinctive Voyages host. What is this and who is it available to?
Yeah. So Distinctive Voyages is a program through Travel Leaders, and Travel Leaders is KHM's consortium. So if you are an agent with KHM, you're automatically a member of Travel Leaders, and they offer this great program. So I actually just got something about Distinctive Voyages in the mail. This is a brochure that you can send to all your cruise clients about the program, and it highlights everything in there. So basically, it's a collection of sailings. They have over 500 sailings through 2024 that are part of this program, where your clients are going to get these additional amenities at no additional cost to them. And the amenities include an excursion for free. It includes a special cocktail reception of just these Distinctive Voyages clients, and it includes the services of a host like me. And all the hosts are travel advisors, but don't worry, they're not there to steal your clients. That's completely prohibited. They're just there to be that travel advisor on site to offer recommendations for port and answer any questions that your clients may have. So it's a really great resource. If it's something you're interested in, how you become a Distinctive Voyages host is you need to apply, but this is really for people who specialize in cruises. They've completed some certifications with the various different cruise lines. Maybe they got their CLIA certification, and they have a good book of business with cruises. So you're selling cruises, and you'll be able to document that.
And it's not every cruise line that's part of this program, but
No.
several are a part of it.
It tends to be the higher end ones. So I just was the host with Princess. I was actually the first Distinctive Voyages host with Princess ever. It was the first time we did it. So we got a lot of learnings. It was a lot of fun. But Celebrity is a part of it. Holland America, Silver Sea, Seabourn. It tends to be, for the most part, higher end cruise lines.
So on this last trip, Matt, did you what did you have to do anything as a host? I mean, you said, "Oh, you've got to be there," but did anyone need you?
Yeah, so typically the way it works as a host, the work that you have is it's really busy your first day. So I kind of go through the day. What I do is I try and get on the ship as early as possible and get some food, because I'm probably not going to have time to eat for a while. And then I go and meet with typically either the head of customer relations or the head of the events on the ship and tell them I'm here. They should know that you're coming. So just go to guest relations, say, "Hey, I'm the guy." And then you meet and talk with them, and you try and set up some things. So you confirm the dates for the cocktail reception. There's some invites that go out, and you might need help printing those. So you may ask them to print those for you. You might do a tour of the ship to figure out, okay, where is the events at? Can we set up a special casinos tournament just for our group? Can we have a meeting set up with the future cruise desk to help rebook some of these sales, right? Can we do a behind the scenes tour of like the bridge or the galley? Can we do a lunch with some of the entertainment staff on board? So you try and set up some extra special things. Now, those are never guaranteed, but sometimes they are. So for example, on mine, it was a rather small group, but for our cocktail reception, they still brought the entertainment staff, some of them, to come and greet us and hang out with us. So that was the cruise director came, the entertainment director came, one of the DJs came. So that was really fun and special for everybody who attended to be able to meet them and talk with them and hang out for a little bit.
Wow. And the guests that are coming as part of this program really don't have an expectation as to what to expect. Is that right?
Yeah, oftentimes they don't even know that they're part of this. Sometimes the travel advisor told them, sometimes they didn't, but that's okay because they're going to find out when they get on board. So the other thing I do is I send out these little welcome packets. I slip them under all the doors, and then I call everybody and leave them a welcome message, introducing myself, letting them know the amenities, inviting them to the welcome reception. And then at least typically 2 days during the sailing, I'll have office hours. And it's typically situated on one of the port days when near the area where people get off the ship. And so they can stop by and talk to me and ask questions. So it just makes it easier to access me and find me during those office hours.
That's really cool. See, and I knew about this program, but I didn't know exactly how it works. Okay, so tell me about Alaska and the cruise tour. Did you enjoy it? Did your clients enjoy it? Did you learn anything new?
Yeah, it was a really great experience. So I'd been on an Alaska cruise before, but I didn't do the cruise tour. So this time I'm like, I want to go to Denali. I want to spend the time there. So we flew into Anchorage. We spent our first night at the Captain Cook Hotel. And then from there, they took us to Whittier. No, not Whittier. Sorry, Mount McKinley. And we stayed in a lodge there. Now, that's a very quiet lodge. It was early in the season. I mean, we're one of the first groups of the season, right? So it was very quiet. That's not a lodge where there's a lot to do. It's more about just beautiful scenery, hanging out, relaxing. There's no internet in your room at this particular lodge, although you can get it in the main room. But there was one of these really cool, if you're into tree houses and you watch one of those tree houses shows, well, they built one a few years ago out near this lodge, and you can walk to that tree house and hang out. The door's open, you just walk in, hang out there, take some pictures. It was really cool. And that was just for one night. And then you go into Denali. And this is what I really enjoyed, because you get closer to Denali. You get, the lodges, there's a lot more to do at this lodge, and there's other lodges nearby that you can visit, and there's shops, and it's a lot more activity there. So your first night's great. It's relaxing, decompress. And then after that, you're rolling. And this is our included excursion, but for this time, but it was, you take a bus and you go through Denali with a naturalist guide. And so he's there pointing out all the things. So you're trying to find the big five, the Alaska big five, right? Like everybody knows the Africa safari big five, right? Well, there's the Alaska big five. Well, in ours, we saw 4. The only thing we didn't see was wolves, but we saw something really cool and rare that most people don't see. And it was a wolverine. And even the naturalist guide, he's seen them before, but he said it's normally fleeting. Normally it's like you see them for 10 seconds or 30 and they're gone. This one was making its way across. I mean, these things are a beast. They're tough little animals. It scared. We were looking at a bear, and the bear started getting spooked. And we're like, what's going on? It chased the bear away, this little wolverine, because it's that fierce. And then it swam across this river, and it was getting taken by the river, but it still fought on, and it ended up getting across. But it was a really long sighting of the wolverine, so much so that it's like, okay, well, we got to go now. Because that was really cool. But some tips I do want to say about your cruise tour and timing. There's a different thing to see every season. We didn't see as many bears because it was too early. But if you come a little bit later, there's more bears. We saw a lot of moose. Typically, May and June, you'll see a lot of moose. And then after that, you don't see them really anymore. It's a really rare sighting. Denali itself. Oftentimes, if you've ever been, you don't see Denali. There's a haze over it. It's covered. It's cloudy. You don't get to see it. We had clear sightings of Denali the entire time. And there's no guarantee, but typically May and early June is when you have your best sightings of Denali, or early September.
So talk about the cruise. By the time you did all that, were you ready to get on the ship and relax and just watch the world go by?
Yeah, but there's one more thing before we get to the cruise, and it's another one of the most memorable things. It's the train ride.
Oh.
So we took a train ride all the way from Denali to Whittier. It's like a 9-hour train ride. It's a long day. If you have clients doing a land tour or a cruise out of Whittier, they don't need to do it all the way from Denali. They can do it from Anchorage, where you fly into, and that's just a 2-hour train. And that 2 hours is probably the most scenic, but it is the most scenic train ride you probably ever go on in your life. Like, I've been on trains all over Europe, and I thought I saw some scenic things, but nothing compared to Alaska. And then segueing in, it's the same with the cruise. Wow. Most cruises, you get on, you get out to sea, and you're seeing wide blue ocean. And there's something amazing about it. But the inside passage through Alaska is like nothing else. I mean, there's scenery the whole time. You're not out in the middle of the ocean. You can sit out on your balcony. I mean, this is definitely, even if you're not someone who typically gets a balcony, this is definitely a cruise where you want that balcony. A lot of people just want to sit out on their balcony and watch the different scenes go by. You're going to pass by waterfalls. You might see whales. You might see otters. We saw bear sightings on the mountains too. So it's just a really cool experience. It almost kind of feels like a huge river cruise. River cruises, there's scenery going up and down the river, and most ocean cruises there's not, but on this one there is, and it's really something different, really something special. I could probably do this every year. I could probably go every year, even if I don't get out on the ports. I just
Right.
love the scenery.
You're painting such a picture. You know, I mean, it's really quite beautiful, the story that you're telling us right now. I don't know if anyone else is feeling that way, but I'm just kind of like, keep talking. I want to hear more. I mean, it's really, it just sounds like you had a fabulous time.
Yeah, I mean, Alaska's amazing. A lot of people, everybody, if you want to go off and hike and bike, some of my friends that were on board with me, they did that stuff. If that's not for you, you can enjoy the scenery just being on the ship. I have clients that go every year and they just enjoy the scenery being on the ship. They never get off in port. The other thing I want to mention that's weird, and getting back to Denali that I didn't talk about, is daylight the entire time. So the sun does go down, but not really completely. So it's always light out. So it'll be 11 o'clock p.m. at night, but you'll think it's like 6 or 7. And then you'll look and you go, oh, crap. It's like,
I better go to bed.
I should probably go to bed. But they have pretty good blackout curtains. So I slept okay. Of course, you can put your mask on if you think that light's going to bother you. But it was really interesting just to be able to, in the middle of the night, go out on the ship if you wanted to. And it's still daylight.
Yeah. I'll apologize, you guys. There must be another convention coming in because it's very loud below where we are recording. Okay, so real quick, Matt, share with us the cruise.
The ship itself?
Yeah. Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy the ports of call?
The ports of call. So we went to the same ports of call I went to last time, which were Ketchikan, Skagway, and Juneau. Which are all really cool ports in their own way. So Skagway is going to be it feels like an old Western kind of town, walking through with the saloons and that kind of thing. It's kind of like if you ever watched Little House on the Prairie, whenever they would go into like that big town, Mankato, or whatever those other towns they would go to, and it was like the big city life. That's what it kind of feels like. My favorite thing there is just walking up and down the street. There's an old traditional cabin of the people who originally settled the area, and then there's something called fry bread. When you get there's one place you can get fry bread, and it's as big. It's big, so you might just get one and share it with 2 or 4 people. And they coat it with cinnamon and sugar, and it comes right fresh off of being fried, and it's really delicious. So that's what I did. And then Juneau is a capital, but it's interesting because you can only get to Juneau by sea or by plane. You can't drive to Juneau. So it's a great place to rent a car because you can't really get lost. There's only so far you can go. So a lot of people do that. You can go up to the governor's mansion. I don't recommend doing it, but you can knock on the door. I mean, there's nothing around it. I went up and I took a selfie with it. If you wanted, you could knock on the door. I don't know what would happen if you did, so I didn't do it. There's great shopping there. They're known for like the different stones and gems, and then they have really good food. So one of my friends took a foodie tour, and they said it was amazing. They went to like 9 different places all around Juneau. My favorite city is Ketchikan, though. It's the old town especially. So both Juneau and Skagway are walkable from the ship. Skagway a little bit less, but they have shuttles. So if you want to take a shuttle, you can do it. But Ketchikan, it's right there in the dock. You get off and you're right there in Ketchikan. And then the old town is maybe just a 5-10 minute walk away. And it's all built on these like wooden struts or something. It's hard to explain, over a creek. And it's just a cool little area to go up and down. There is a funicular that takes you to the top of a mountain where there's a lodge. You can go up there, have some drinks, have lunch, enjoy the views. There's an old brothel called Dolly's House that was in operation apparently until I think they said the 50s or the 60s or something.
Really?
So that was really interesting. It's really cheap. I don't know what it is, like $10, $15 to get access. And they just let you wander through the house, and it's got all set up like it was. So that's really cool. It's just a beautiful area. Now, Ketchikan tends to be, I know, Carolyn, you saw this on my Facebook post. It tends to be more rainy there. So this is a town where you're going to want to go get back on the ship after you've been done exploring, get some hot chocolate or a warm drink, get your robe out of the closet, and go wander to the hot tubs. And if you're lucky, for me, I love just sitting in the hot tub. And if the rain starts pouring down, there's just something about that hot and cold that just feels so good. So I sat out there probably for a couple hours with my friends, just enjoying the rain in the hot tub and drinking my hot chocolate.
Well, it sounds like the most incredible experience. Do you have another cruise set up where you're going to be the host?
I do. I have 2 more now. So while I was in Alaska, they gave me my next one for 2024. But my very next one in September is on Celebrity Summit. It is a round trip Boston cruise where you visit a bunch of different places in New England and Canada. And I'm excited because I've been to Boston, but I've never been to any of the other port destinations. So
that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
And then the next one that I'm really excited about that they just told me I got approved. So I applied for this Distinctive Voyages, and they said, "Yep, you're going to be the host." It is a round trip Sydney cruise on Celebrity Edge, which is probably my most favorite ship in the entire world, or that class of ships. But it's not mostly an Australia cruise. It's you go to Sydney, but then all the other points are New Zealand.
Wow.
The itinerary just looks like amazing. I haven't really even put it out there. I just kind of put it out there to a few people this week. And yesterday I already got 3 bookings. So
That's fantastic.
I think it's going to sell out because that's for 2024. You know, it's like a March of 2024. It's like a little less than 2 years away. So I think we're going to have a good group on that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, I don't know.
So really, Matt, what you're telling us is if we have clients that want to sail with Matt as their host, they can do this.
I'll be the host. I'm a pretty good host. One thing I always say to all the guests on the board is I say, if you're enjoying this cruise, go talk to the people at the Future Cruise Desk and sign up for your next cruise now, because you're going to get the best deal if you sign up well on the ship. And don't worry, because that booking is going to go back to your travel advisor. They're going to get the credit. And that's the biggest compliment you could ever give a travel advisor, is to rebook your cruise while you're still on the ship.
I love it. That's the mic drop moment right there. So thank you. I'm so happy that you had a great time. We're happy you're back for a few days before you leave again. But thanks for spending today with us. And it was really fun to hear about your experience.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad I could relay this experience. And if anybody needs any tips or advice, feel free to reach out.
Yeah. So the comments are, Matt, we're so jealous, and Matt, you rock. So thanks so much. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, that's our show for today. Thanks for joining us. Thank you again to all of our sponsors, especially Apple Leisure Group, our overall sponsor. We'll be back next week. I can't remember off the top of my head because my brain is now officially fried who we have on, but you guys know it will be great. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.